Hello wine lovers, I'm summarizing my last quite extensive tasting of the wines from Austria. I tasted somewhere between 8 to 900 wines, and to me, I mean, I've been an avid lover of Austria for a long time. I've been traveling back and forth over the last 17, 18 years, basically the vast part of my sommelier career, and I always had a close affinity with the wines from Austria. And of course, trends, styles are changing, and but mostly for the better. One of my first impressions from this tasting is that a lot of the so-called natural wines, or the alternative styles, or the young, hip and funky, they all kept really well. I think, you know, they didn't stretch too far in the direction of volatility or oxidation. I think they certainly offer a different expression, yet with purity, because as most of these winemakers come from a proper wine background. So that was one very pleasing experience. Normally, it's very difficult to find a bad white wine. I think that's the strength of Austria, and particularly the Grüne Veltliner, that I think works really well as a simple wine, as well as it does as a super complex wine, the Wachau, Smaragd, and so forth. So I found a lot of pleasure in the 2017 seeing their young, spice and peppery with character, and tasting the more structured white wines from Niederösterreich from 2016. The Rieslings and the Grüners were magnificent. Without studying too much, you know, what the vintage was supposed to be like, I certainly think that these offered both ripeness, you felt the sunshine, but with a distinct bright acidity. So I was really happy with the wines, both for Grüner and for Riesling. And secondly, in terms of white wine, what's been going on in Styria, in Steiermark, has impressed me a lot. Of course, we know it since a long time, the qualities of the Sauvignons from there. But I must confess, I certainly have an affinity for the remarkable Chardonnays being produced there as well, as the other alternative varieties like the Traminer, or the more aromatic styles that are certainly impressed me a lot as well. As for the red wines, I think when I look back at the tasting, some of my favorite ones were the red wines with what I would call modest extraction. I think again the best winemakers are slightly more careful with the oak treatment and with extraction. The red wines that I favored less, they were still very much on the youthful and raw side. So I think in terms of élevage and, you know, the aging of the red wines, some of the 13s and 14s were still appearing very young, raw, and very much on the tannic and extracted side. But again, this is a stylistic preference, and I think the quality of the red wines was very high. And I think again that Blaufränkisch based cuvées is certainly something that I think 15 years ago we considered Blaufränkisch a fun local varietal, but now we know it can certainly produce world-class exceptional wines. And so a very nice plethora, from the Pinot Noir to the St. Laurent to the remarkable blends and the pure Blaufränkisch wines. And last but not least, of course, you know, when I started to get interested in Austrian wine, I was a big fan of all the Trockenbeerenauslese and the sweet wines. And some of these wines, again, tasting through the most recent vintages, I think the precision in many of these, offering that unctuosity, that richness, but yet being finely balanced by excellent acid levels. And I mean, these are certainly, they deserve their reputation as remarkable world-class sweet wines. So fantastic tasting. Time for a glass of Grüne Veltliner. Cheers.